Right, hello. Right, this is going to be a video primarily for those people who couldn't make the lesson on normalisation. So I'm going to go over it very quickly. And so, right, so let's start with, this is the OneNote notebook that you would have been using, right? So quick recap on databases. So we've got the relationships between two tables. Now they are modelled by what's called a foreign key. So student can have many lates. Okay, so looking at that, so there is the foreign key student ID, and it's the primary key you'll notice in the student table, and that's how we model it. So you scroll down here, not you but me, you can see that there's the foreign key. So you can see 33 student ID, that Charlie X is being repeated many times in there because they're late a lot. All right, and that's how we model it. The important bit to notice is that we don't put the name of the student in there. All right, it's just the ID. All right, for reasons that I'll go into in a minute. Now, the foreign key is always on a many side of a relationship. So even if you didn't understand what is a student and what is a late, then you can see, oh look, that's a primary key student ID here, and then it's the foreign key. Sorry, there's the primary key here and there's the foreign key there, so it must be student one to many, student could have many lates. Right, let's not worry about that. Now, so what is database normalization? So normalization, every attribute is dependent upon the key, the whole key, and nothing but the key. Right, so what does that mean? Well, it means that you have to go through a series of steps in order to get the data normalized. Now, we're only going up to the third normal form, but you could go up to fifth if you really wanted to, but for our exam board, you don't need to worry about that. Now, the important bits are eliminate data inconsistencies. I'll talk about what that means in a minute, and minimize data duplication. So that is obviously quite easy to understand. We're trying to get rid of duplicated data. Now, if you look at this example here below, we've got Brown, Smith, Jones. Let me just get rid of some of this stuff here. So you can see I've got Brown in twice there and there. I've got Beavis in there as well, lots of times as well. So we are repeating ourselves. We've got duplicated data. Now, the bit about inconsistent data, let's say Beavis changed the name. So it's now called Davis. Okay. And I change it there, so it's no longer Beavis, it's now Davis. And then I'm going to change this Beavis here to Dave Yees. All right, now notice I spelled it wrong. It's inconsistent. All right, I could have just made a spelling mistake, or I could have just thought it was Davies instead of Davis. So when I search for Davis, I'm going to miss out data. All right, so you can see that it's not great. So every time a student does an assignment, then we're repeating an awful lot of stuff again. So if Jones does another assignment, we're repeating the ID, the name, the address, the date of birth, the assignment number we'll need, maybe it's a different assignment number, and then the details about the assignment as well, which was also repeated as well. So it's not great. So right, now what first normal form requires removal of any repeating attributes or group of attributes. Now, in order to show this, what you have to do is kind of engineer the repeating attribute, put it in just so you can take it out again. So what we could do is in standard notation, this is standard notation here, we've got student, a student number, assignment name, address, job, tutor number, tutor name, and then in assignment number that. Now, that's fine, but we don't have any way of linking between the two. So one solution would be to do it like here, where we are repeating, we're having pairs of student numbers and marks, and then we keep doing that. Now in Access, that would look a bit like that. So I've got, let's zoom in a bit, because Access is tiny. So I've got maths assignment, so I've got student 1, which could be Ron, you got 55%, student ID 4, which is Zoe, got 99, and so forth. And I keep repeating those pairs. Now it works. I mean, it obviously works. Now if I had a new assignment here, I could call test, and then I could then start adding student ID 1, whoever that is, and then their marks. Right. but it's not ideal. All right. Now, it's not ideal for a number of reasons. One is, how many students are there going to be? So essentially, when you design it, and you design it, I'm going to just have to keep repeating these pairs for the maximum number of students I'd like to be for a class. Now, it could be 20, 25, 30 or more. Hence, some classes could be tiny. I mean, there could be 10 students or 5 students. So if that's the case, then I'm not going to be using a lot of these fields and just wasting space. So that's not an ideal solution either. So essentially what we've done, we just put this in just to say we can't do it. All right, now, so we don't want to do that. So don't do it. So one solution would be, is to do this, is to put student number in it and the mark, but we make student number the primary key as well. Now, when you have two attributes making up the primary key, it's called a composite key, as it says there. Okay. Oops. Now, in terms of what that looks like in terms of data now, the nice thing is you look at student, okay, there are only no repeating in student. That's good. That's nice. Assignment, if you look in assignment now, okay, it's not ideal, but we haven't got the repeating groups that we had before. Now, you notice that that is the primary key and that's the composite key. So it's a combination of 1 and 1, 2, 3 make up the primary key. So we can repeat assignment number 1, 1, 1, 1 many times, and we can repeat student number 1, 2, 3 many times, but the combination of both of those can't be actually repeated. Right, now, so second normal form says, for data to be in second normal form must be in first normal form, and every attribute must be dependent upon the whole key and not just part of it. Now, this is another word for partial dependencies. We don't like it. So what we're looking for is a table that makes up, that has more than one attribute making up a primary key or a composite key. We've only got one of those at the moment, and that's assignment. Now, you can see I've already done this earlier. But now, so what we have then, we've got to ask ourselves the question, is mark dependent upon assignment number and student number? Is yes. All right. So we could say that they're dependent on both those things, because mark without both of those is meaningless. Okay. So if I said I've got 99% in a test, you go, well, which one is it? I don't know. It's meaningless. Likewise, if I have a student who got 100%, which student? Don't know. Again, it's meaningless. All right. So we need to know the assignment it came from and the student to make it have any meaning. All right. So that's good. Is assignment name dependent upon assignment number? The answer is yes, again, because every assignment number will have one assignment name. Is assignment name dependent upon student number? The answer is no. There isn't. They're not. All right, because if you look at a student number, it can have many different assignment names. So that is not. So what we have to do is break out another table. So assignment will just be left with assignment number and assignment name, and then we break out a new table called S-mark or student mark, and probably best look at it down here. We have assignment number, student number, and the mark percent. Assignment now is looking really good. You can see here that we've not got any repeating stuff there. Let me just rub that out. And student is still looking good. Now S-mark, yes, we are repeating there, but there's no way. Remember, it says reduce duplication. We can't get rid of it all. So now we've got assignments looking good, students looking pretty good, but S-mark is actually fine as well. So in standard notation, we've got assignment number underlined, primary key, student number underlined, and then the mark percent. And there's the entity relationship diagram. Right, so the next bit is third normal form. Now this is non-key dependencies. So third must be in first and second normal form, and no attribute must be dependent upon any other attribute that is not the key. So if any entities is dependent upon another attribute, it's not the key. Right, so what we're looking for is an attribute that is dependent upon another attribute that isn't the primary key. Right, now if you look at student, these two here are looking a bit dodgy. You can see that I've got Davis repeated there and there. That's not ideal. So what can we do to solve that? Well, we could break out another table, because basically what we're saying is there is tutor name is dependent upon tutor number, and tutor number is not the primary key, student number is. Right, so we then break out into a new table called tutor, leaving tutor number in student, because obviously we still need to know who their tutor is. So there would be duplication there and there, but that, you can't get around that. It's impossible. And that's it. It's now in third normal form. What does it look like in terms of entity relationship diagram? Well, we've got tutor can have many students, student can have many S marks, assignment can have many S marks. And because we've got this, essentially it's a link table there, we've got a many-to-many between student and assignment. So there's some hints. I'm not going to, you can read that, just pause it. Right, there's the answer to the first question. Explain why it's not related in fully normal, not fully normalized. Well, it's because, again, GP name is dependent on GP ID. It's the classic third normal form. You can see we've got duplication of names there. So there it is in standard notation. A lot of students would miss out the GP ID there because, oh, come on, stupid machine. Right, so there we go. So GP ID would be missed out there. So it breaks third normal form. We now have a new table called GP there. Right. The second question then is, again, we have a partial dependency. So we have student name here is dependent upon student ID. Student is only dependent upon that part of the key, so it breaks second normal form. Okay, now if we were going to do that in standard notation, so we'd have mark book, we've taken out student name, but we've left student ID in, a classic one people forget to leave in, take out, sorry, and then we have student ID underlined, primary key and student name. All right, so that is it in a very, very quick thing, right? Okay, cheers.